Hello and welcome to the 27th webinar in 12D's Industry Solutions webinar series. My name is Lisa Stewart and I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator here at 12D Solutions. Before we get started, you might like to download the handout from the Handouts section for reference. Our Industry Solutions webinars are designed to provide insights into overcoming challenges in an evolving industry in more effective and efficient ways. We'll keep running these webinars regularly and recording them for posting on our YouTube channel with links through our website. Our first 26 webinars from this Industry Solutions series, as well as 29 webinars from our training series, are available online if you missed those. While we wait for everyone to finish joining, I'll pop up a polling question. You'll have about 30 seconds to enter how you currently manage your emails, and then I'll show the results. Okay, looks like a pretty even split of answers today. I'm glad to see some people are flying the flag for worker monkeys. Thanks, everybody. Let's get started. During this live presentation, you'll be able to type your questions along the way, as shown on the screen, and we'll answer as many as possible throughout the webinar. At the end, I'll also read out some of your questions to the presenter if there's time. Today's webinar, Managing Your Emails with 12D Synergy, will be presented by Lincoln Smith, who's been working in sales and marketing with technology solutions for the architecture, engineering and construction industry for 17 years. He's focused on the introduction of software and hardware solutions into AEC businesses to increase efficiency and reduce risk. Lincoln is also involved with the Brisbane startup community, helping entrepreneurs develop sales and marketing strategies to bring their ideas to market. In this webinar, we'll discuss the benefits of email management within a business, including issues such as risks from drawn-out disputes and time wasted searching for emails. We'll explore ways to reduce these risks to help you speed up dispute resolution and increase efficiency of accessing emails, in turn providing better customer service. Over to you, Lincoln.
Thanks for that, Lisa, and thanks to everyone for joining me this afternoon. I hope I'm coming through clearly. So today we're going to talk about email management. And I guess emails are a very important part of our business, and we use email to deal with documents, PDFs, photos, spreadsheets, drawings, contracts, inquiries, requests, replies every day. And managing email can be a challenge for any business, and that challenge is probably growing as your business goes on. Today I'm going to discuss email in the workplace, email in the law, why do we manage email in the AEC industry, what our industry is doing, what are the strategies some businesses have employed to manage email, and how can 12D Synergy help that? So I'll run through a brief PowerPoint slide and then I'll switch over to 12D Synergy and just start giving the audience a bit of an idea about how Synergy can help them manage their email. So to get a little bit nostalgic, this is a great little cartoon I found on the internet, but it's probably more 15 years ago. The novelty was certainly receiving an electronic email. And I guess now there is a certain love with receiving something in the mail, even though it's more likely to be a bill rather than anything incredibly interesting. But I guess to say that you might have 436 unread emails in your inbox, for some of you that might be completely a small dip in the ocean. But I guess this slide really shows is in 10 to 15 years how much things have changed in the workplace and how our views on using this technology have changed. So email in the workplace. I don't think anyone would be surprised if I said that we send 2 million business emails every single second. Email has truly proliferated the business world. It's the primary form of communication between businesses. It's used as a record of that communication. It's commonplace. It's easy to use. It's robust. And the scope of what you can transmit with email is endless. It's extremely flexible. And I guess the thing about email is it's really not going anywhere. In fact, research from the Radicated Group has indicated that email is only going to increase year after year after year. And you know, if you were looking at 140 emails per day sent and received, plus spam on top of that, it's getting to be quite a burden on you and the people that you work with. And I guess the other side of it as well is the law certainly has kept up with email. So recent legal outcomes have shown that the expectation of judges and society is that businesses can quickly access this kind of information and deliver that back to court. And there's many examples of various companies for various reasons have got themselves into trouble not being able to produce that information to court in time. So in an Australian example, what are the laws in Australia that we need to apply to? So Australian law sees email as just another business document, and in Australia, electronic messages are deemed to be writing. You might use email to communicate in a very routine and casual fashion between colleagues, but email can constitute enforceable contracts, and there's some great examples of recent time of companies agreeing to do things that they didn't realize they were agreeing to because they just didn't word their email properly or call clearly. I guess there's also a certain number of Australian acts that apply to I guess email as a document. So you've got the Corporations Act, Fair Work Act. Again, all of these require you to keep these documents for anywhere from 5 to 30 years, depending on what act it is. And I guess when I was researching this presentation, I spoke to quite a few different businesses and said to them, you know, how do you know what to keep and not what to keep? And the common answer was, Lincoln, we just keep everything we ever send or receive because we don't really know what we're going to need, which is a completely fair assumption. So why do we manage email? Well, I guess most of the businesses who have joined us today on this webinar are in that engineering, surveying, construction industry. And knowing what happened when is very important. And having the right information on hand to make the right decision is also very important. So we manage email, I guess, to get timely access to the email itself and the attachments and understand when it was sent and received. We can use this information to avoid disputes and resolve disputes quicker. We can also improve the service that we provide our customers by reacting faster and providing a service in a timely fashion. Of course, more accurate and timely information allows you to make better decisions. And if your business was involved in a legal case, you may receive an e-discovery request. And again, having an email management system or something similar to that really makes it easy for you to provide that information in that scenario quickly back to whoever needs it. The other side of managing email or documents is down to regulation. So you might have a quality assurance regulation, or you might be working with a certain governmental body or a council, or there's some client you work for that might have regulations around the storage of that kind of information. And I guess the other key thing is making email in your business accessible to the people who need it. So you might file your emails away into a project email folder, for example, sharing it throughout the team. Someone in the office isn't trying to get into someone else's mailbox to try and get access to an email. It's not what people want. Also as well, you want to try and eliminate human error. You want to take the human side out of it. I'm sure you're like me, you've got an email from your company's IT manager saying your inbox has got too many emails in it, it's too full, and you need to clean some of them out. And I'm sure you're like me, you've just filtered by the largest email and you've gone and deleted those large emails to clear up that space. But I guess, should I have actually deleted those emails or not, is probably what we should be thinking about. So what are we doing today? So some people, they CC an email to a project email address in the company. Some people drag and drop emails into a public folder they've got set up. Or look, some people, I would say, probably don't necessarily have a strategy. They just let people have an unlimited sized inbox and just leave everything in there. I guess the commonality of these solutions really results in one key area, is that each user to some degree gets to decide which emails are important and which emails aren't. And that's something we probably need to think about. These, I guess, 3 strategies of how people deal with email now has consequences, and it can result in things like spend each of your people who work with you spending up to an hour per day searching for emails. I ran into a study from a UK organisation of 330 or so AEC organisations, and that survey showed that the staff there were spending up to an hour or a day searching for emails. And I guess the next logical step is, if you can't find the email, then you're going to reach out to someone else in the organisation to help you. So you might go and see your IT manager or IT staff or your outsourced IT and say, hey, can you give me a backup from 3 months ago, 6 months ago? I'm looking for a particular email with a particular attachment. Or even sometimes you really get caught up in an ex-employee's email. So someone's moved on from the organisation, you knew last year they worked on this job. I need to talk to IT to get into that person's older emails and check. Again, it's just chewing up time. I guess the other thing is saving the same email and the same attachment multiple times. So again, one email gets sent to multiple people in your organization, and they might be filing that away somewhere and storing it as well. There's also a bit of clarity around, or a bit of lack of clarity around from an IT perspective of what should I be backing up and archiving and what should I not. And again, that can be difficult for people to decide what should I be backing up and what needs to be managed. I guess the important thing that I discovered was that it may not be incredibly obvious to everyone in the organization, but not managing your emails actually has a probably larger consequence in you chewing up your IT resources than something you necessarily see every day in your job, for example. So I guess, oh yeah, and just to give you a bit of an example, the Toowoomba Second Range Crossing as of June last year had about 26,000 emails. And some of the organizations I know, they're kind of producing about 1,000 emails a month or so that they're filing away. So it's something that creeps along in people's businesses, and to actually go back and look at see how many emails they had for a certain project might really surprise some people. But again, if I'm a project manager, I need to get some information about what we did 6 months ago, or what did we send out, or what drawings did we actually send to this particular person. If I've got 26,000 emails to search through, I really need a good quality search engine to do that, and probably use things like metadata or attributes to find those emails. And I'll show you that a little bit later. So what does 12D Synergy do to help you manage emails? Well, 12D Synergy can capture every email and attachment. It's important to understand what may seem irrelevant today may not be so in the future. You can also store emails in a logical manner for easy reference. You can store them in grouped by a project, or put it in a certain folder structure that you used to. 12D Synergy gives you a robust email searching using metadata or attributes to really give you that granular level of detail of access of searches, and I'll go through that as well. Having an automated filing, storage and archiving system, so trying to cut down that human interaction, or people trying to remember, I need to file that email away, I can't forget. And you really want to centralize the storage of your emails, so you're just backing up one location and you're storing it in one location to make sure it's easy to manage. I guess one of the other important things about storing your emails is that they need to be unique, identifiable, and unalterable. So it's important to show that the emails have not been tampered with when you do go to court, for example. So what I'll do now, I've probably talked enough. I'll go and open 12D Synergy, and I'll start showing you how 12D Synergy can help. So just 1 second. Right, I think I've got this organized now. So here, I guess I've got 12D Synergy open, and I've got Outlook open. So Outlook, I think I've got Outlook 2016, and I've set it up in this case to do a bit of, I guess, sending and receiving within the same mailbox. Just to give you an example of me sending an email out and receiving an email. So you'll notice I've got you at your company and the client. And then I'll also be jumping back to Synergy and giving you a little bit of idea about how emails get filed away, and I guess how Synergy manages them. So I've received an email here from the client. In this case, again, this is one of my email addresses I've created, and I've sent myself some information. So I'm pretending I'm sitting in the office and I've received an email from a surveyor who's sent me a 12DA file. Now, I know this email relates to the Emu Park project, so I want to file this email away into Emu Park. So what I'll do up here is I'll go to the 12D Synergy tab, and obviously we have a plugin for Outlook. This is how we interact Outlook and how it interacts with Synergy. And what you've got here is a whole bunch of different buttons that do various things, but on the right-hand side here, it's really about where are you going to, I guess, check these emails into, what folder within Synergy are you going to put them into, and going at the actual action of uploading it here. And the other half is really just the configuration, saving attachments and searching. And I'll go through these as we go, but what I'll do is I'll save this email away. So if I go and hit upload here, what's going to happen is that Synergy is going to show me a whole bunch of favorites that I have set up. And favorites can be related to any real favorite that you want. Really, you're just specifying a folder that you'd like something to be filed away to. So here I've got a couple. I've got correspondence emails, which is where all my emails are going at the moment. I've got an input data folder, which is where I might have some data going, and a CAD folder here. And you can have as many as you want in this list here. And down the bottom here, if I'm happy to use correspondence emails, I'll go and click this use button down the bottom here, and that'll file that away to that folder. If I go and press more, what that'll do is allow me to navigate through the jobs in 12D Synergy, pick the correct job I'm looking for, and then go and file that email away in that folder from there. So this time I won't do that. I'm just going to use one of my favorites to show it as an example, and we'll see what happens. So I've got my email from my client. I want to file it away to correspondence emails, and I'll hit use. So what you can see now is you'll get a bit of a flash screen, and then to the bottom right-hand corner, you see you've got a little pop-up there in the Synergy task log, and that email has now been uploaded to Synergy. But probably what you might notice is that that email is slightly changed. So in the subject line, you'll see you've got some square brackets and a hash Emu Park. That's what we call our email stamp. And that stamp sits in the subject line, and Synergy looks for that stamp to know that this email has got to be filed away when it's received or when it's seen. The other thing you'll notice is there's a little tick box on the right-hand side of that, that bar there, and that tick box really means this email has been filed away into Synergy. So it already exists in there. There's no need to file it away again, and I'll talk a bit about that later on. So I've filed this away to 12D Synergy. It's got a tick box, it's got a tag. Let's go and have a look at it in 12D Synergy. So again, you can see here, it's automatically appeared in my correspondence emails folder, and it exists in the system. There's all the details about it. All of the attributes have been scraped off the email and created, so you can go and search on them. Outside of that, nothing has changed on those other items. But probably what the important thing here is, again, is now that we've done it once, we won't need to do it again. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and reply to this one and give you an example, because one of the great things about 12D Synergy's email plugin is that once an email has been stamped, it no longer needs to be filed away into the system. So any replies from the recipient or the sender back and forth automatically get filed away into Synergy. So what I'll do here is I'll just go back to normal Outlook. I'll hit reply, and I'll just drag this across here so it's a little bit easier to see. So I'll just go and note, and I'll just go and reply to them and hit send. So again, Outlook does its thing. It sends the email out. and I jump back into Synergy again, and what you'll see is my reply has automatically been filed away into Synergy, so you can see my reply there. So again, really, really easy. I don't have to worry about it now. It's just going to get filed away. I don't have to be concerned. Obviously, if someone goes and deletes that subject line, that's obviously going to require a restamping of that particular email. But as long as the stamp is in that subject line somewhere, whether at the middle, the start, the end, doesn't really matter. As long as it's in that subject line, it'll get filed away to that folder. The same goes for when you're creating a new email. So if I want to send something out, and what I want to do is I want to file that away to my Emu Park job from the very beginning. So again, we've got the plugin which exists. So I'll show you quickly how that works. I go to, I'll put in, I'm sending it to the client again, my good friend, and giving him a project plan update. And what I'll do is I'll go to the 12D Synergy tab, and I want to send this particular person some attachments from Synergy. So what I do is I click the Add Attachments button here. And what this really does is provide an interface into the document management system so you can go and select some files. So in this case, I want to go to the Outputs folder here because I've got some PDF DWGs I want to send out. I highlight those and hit Select. Again, it'll attach those to the email, and I'd obviously fill out the body with some meaningful information. And here I'm going to send and upload. So I'm going to send it out, and I'm going to upload it to a job at the same time. So I'm going to click the Send and Upload button now. And again, it'll go through the same process. It wants to understand what favorites do I want to use. But in this case, what I'll do is I'll give you an example of the More button. So say, for example, I don't want to put it into Emu Park. I want to put it into Wombat Park, for example. I don't have one of those, but I'll show you how it works. So if I go and hit More, what'll happen is it'll say, you know, can you search for the job? Give me some details about the job, and I'll see if I can find it. In this case, I'm just going to blindly look. And what would happen in your organization, it would bring up a list of all the jobs that apply that you can see. And you can go and have a look at the little splash screen of the job there. In this case, I'm going to select Emu Park again because that's where I want to file it away. Select Emu Park, hit Open. So it's going to say, great, yep, you want to put it into Emu Park. Which folder do you want to put that into? So I want to put it into my, just say I want to put it into my Outputs folder, for example. Now the difference here is I can go and hit Select, and it'll go and file that away to my Outputs folder, for example, or I can just put it straight into my emails folder. But here's your opportunity to add a favorite, and this is where you potentially start creating your favorites. Or I can just, if I haven't got the right folder, I can go and create a folder from here as well. But in this case, I'm happy with correspondence emails, so I'll go and hit Select. So again, there's obviously nothing to show because it's been filed away, but if I go, oh, here we go, there's the task log. But if I go into Sent Items, what you'll see is that I've sent this email out, it's been stamped, and if I jump back into 12D Synergy, you'll see it's been filed into 12D Synergy. So again, if you're doing it from scratch, that's how you do it. The other thing I noted before is that this email I got from my good mate, the client, had a 12DA attached to it. And it really could be any attachment, but it's just an example. And I want to use that attachment in a drawing that I'm working on or a 12D model project that I'm using. And I need to get this into the document management system because I want this file to be managed and a part of what I do. So what I would do here is I'd go back to my Synergy toolbar and I'd hit Save Attachment. And again, it's going to give me a list of attachments to choose from. I've obviously only got one at this point, so I'm just going to hit, yep, that's the one I want to save. And it again pops up this favorites menu. Which one do I want to use? In this case, I want to actually go and put it into the 12D input data folder because that's where I store all my incoming data. So I'm going to select my favorite again. I'm going to hit Use. And I guess this is probably, for people who haven't seen Synergy before, this is where you describe your change. So in this case, I'm adding a new file into the system for the first time. So there may not be a huge amount of explanation of what I'm doing. So I'm just going to use the quick button here called Data Import. And that'll give that file a bit of a history and show a bit of a description about how it entered the system. So in this case, if I file away my attachment, so I can jump into Synergy now. And what you'll see is that if I go and find my email here, where are we? There it is, survey data. What you'll notice is that now this email has something called an association. And really what an association is, it's a connection between two files that's made, and it's more of a permanent association. It's a bit like when you have a Word document and you create a PDF. Synergy creates a link between those two files because I guess they have some kind of a relationship. So in this case, what this associations tab is really showing me is that this email has an association to the attachment. So if I go into the folder where I know I filed it away and I go and have a look in 12D model, and then I have a look in my input data folder, what you'll notice, what you'll notice in my input data folder is that there's a whole bunch of 12DAs I've got in there. And if I go and click on the survey data, what you'll see is that it also has an association back to that email again. So I guess the advantage really is here is if I'm using this 12DA in my project or this DWG or whatever it might be, and there's something wrong with it or I'm not sure, and maybe, look, I took over this project from someone else. I don't actually know how did this file get into my drawing. So what you can use Synergy for is I can go and track back from the 12DA file, I can track back to the email, and then I can go for the email to whoever sent it to me. So again, it really has that audit trail of how did something get into my system, who sent it to me, when did they send it to me, all those things that you need to know. The other thing you can do is create a task from an email as well. So if I have an email in the system here, and here's an email about OH&S certification. So I need to plan a meeting on Friday for this OH&S certification, and I need to get a boardroom together, get the team together, and have a meeting and discuss some kind of health or safety issue for the site or this particular project. So I don't forget about it, what I can do is use Synergy to help me manage, I guess, the kind of work attached to this file. So if I right-click on the email, what I can do is I can say I want to create a task from this email. And it gives me this nice little task creation window here, and I can call it OH&S meeting. I can assign it to someone. So in this case, I'm going to assign it to me because it's something I need to prepare for. And I can say, look, it's due on a fixed date, which is I'm going to make it Friday of this week. And I can put in some details. I can specify some attributes, any dependencies, any reminders. But I do want to set a reminder. I just want to remind myself the day before. Just send me a reminder email so I don't forget to finish off my planning. But again, I've set up my task here. I'm going to go and hit create. So it goes and creates my task. And if I go up here and click on my task list, what you'll notice is that here you'll see I've got my OH&S meeting in my massive list of tasks here. And if I click on that, what you'll see is the task has an association back to that particular email. So Synergy again uses this association for various reasons. But again, if I want to get a bit of a refresher about what were we talking about in that meeting again, I can just click on that email and open it and be briefed again about what it was. So again, Synergy does a good job of linking emails into various parts of the Synergy feature set, things like tasks and file management. So the next thing we want to, well, next thing I guess Synergy helps you do is Synergy helps you stop filing away duplicate emails and duplicate attachments. And I guess it does it in 2 ways. So the first way it helps is that this tick box here, like I said before, it communicates to the user that I've already filed this email away, so you don't need to do it again. But say, for example, there's 6 people in your design team, and they've all received the same email from Brisbane City Council or Department of Main Roads, whatever it might be, and you don't want all those 6 people filing that email away, and you don't want them filing away the attachment that came with it. So in this case, as soon as someone goes and files an email away to Synergy, this tick box obviously appears on my email box, but it also appears where else in the other places that email appears. So the other person in the office, the other few people in the office will also see this tick on the email, and they'll know they don't need to file that away because it's already been filed away. And if they do decide that they're going to file it away or they didn't notice the tick box, if I go and hit upload, Synergy is going to remind them that, look, this already exists inside 12D Synergy. Are you sure you want to upload it again? So again, it stops you in the duplication of emails, and it also works with attachments as well. So if I sit here and say save attachment and try and go through this process again, and go and select my input data folder again. Again, Synergy will pick up that this already exists, and do I want to rename it or put a new version of it, just to prompt you that you've already put this particular file into the file system. So again, a great way of stopping duplication of data. Getting a bit back to the toolbar here, on the right-hand side, I said before there was settings and favorites and search and saving attachments, and I've showed you saving attachments, but probably an important one to go through is the setting. Now, the setting is, I guess it's a way that the plugin can interact with the user, but I guess there's quite a few variations. You can see you've got everything automatic, stamped, stamp plus outgoing, always ask, and manual. So I guess in this case, really, it's how much involvement do you want Synergy to have in filing away an email. So if you were to choose everything, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to try and file away every email that you receive, all the way down to manual only. So essentially, you pick and choose which emails you want to file away. And there's all these variations in between. Probably a popular one that we've got here is stamped plus outgoing. So obviously going to file away all emails that have a stamp, but also then prompt you when you try to send an email out, do you want to allocate that to a job? So again, it's just another reminder. But just, I guess the key point here is just to understand there's different modes you can have it in depending on how your company works. So you might want everything, you might want only specific emails filed away. Synergy, the plugin, is adaptable enough to meet what the requirements of your business might be. Also, you've got here where I can manage my favorites, so I can add my favorites here and change the order, clean them up, see if there's any duplicates. Search I'll talk about shortly, but we've also got something else I haven't mentioned. So when I think kind of early last year, we had a lot of customers managing a lot of emails, and we got involved in some quite large projects, and we had people saying, look, I'm filing away 60, 70, 80 emails a day, which is quite impressive. And so what we ended up creating off the back of that is something called a drop zone. And how the drop zone works, it's almost like a shortcut for you to quickly file away emails. So what I can do is I can select quite a few emails, and then I can drag and drop them into predefined favorites. So you might get quite a lot of email, you might file a lot of it away. This is a great way to shortcut that process and really get emails out of your inbox quickly and get them filed away. So quite a popular feature in that administration team in your business. So the last thing I've got to do in this presentation is talk about search. And again, It's probably why people have probably attended this session, because finding emails can be really time consuming, and obviously you want to have that information in front of you when you can get it. So I guess Synergy manages searching in a couple of ways. So as I mentioned before, you can search on the subject and the body of an email. And this little email search here has been designed to work in the plugin itself. So you don't need to jump into Synergy to search for emails. You can do it here. So in this particular search dialog box, you can start filtering down your search by picking the job it might belong to, who it was from, who it was to, any words in the subject you might know. Is there a word I'm looking for in the contents? The direction? Does it have attachments? Yes, no, any. Is there a date and time specifically that you got it? Did I receive it in the last 90 days, for example? So to give you a really quick description, I'll just put the word health in here and we'll go and search for it. So I want to have a look for health in the subject line in my Emu Park project. I go hit search. So what you'll find is, again, it's a setup. I had a few emails there with the word health in it. But again, it lists the emails that you have that have health in the subject line. And then again, like you can in Synergy, you can have a look at the details of that particular file, have a look at some of the attributes and the associations. And then you can also open it, you can reply to it, you can reply all or forward or set notifications, or if I click the go to button down here, you'll see that it'll then go and open that email for me and I can do whatever I need to do from there. So essentially this is a nice quick search with a whole heap of options. You know, as I said, when you've got thousands of emails to search through, you know, what's the best way to do it? Again, you can also search from within inside Synergy. So if I go back here and open 12D Synergy, you'll see that there's a quick search bar at the top here. And what that really allows you to do is quickly search in a particular folder. So if I go to my correspondence folder here and I want to go and search for the word health again, and I go and hit search, the difference here is that this search creates what you would call a search results bar, which I can go ahead and save that. And that'll become a live search and refresh itself and stay there permanently until you delete it. But again, I've looked for health, and in this case, it's looking through in a lot more detail. So it's found 4 emails that have the word health in them in some regard. In this case, there's a couple that have health in the body, and there's a couple that have health in the subject. The next level up of searching you can go to is having a look here at the search button itself. And I guess that adds more flexibility with looking at, you can look in current folders and subfolders, or jobs and subjobs, or the current job only. So it gives you a bit more flexibility about how to search. And you can specifically look at file name and contents like you could before. But I guess the other advantage is you can start looking at attributes or metadata. So again, tagging your emails with metadata is a great way to make them easier to find. So in this case, I've tagged some emails because there's been a variation on this job, and I've tagged them site 32, but let's just say I've forgotten what I've tagged them, but I know there's definitely the number 32 in there. So I'll go and choose my custom attribute. I want to have a look at the variation ID, excuse me. I go and select that. So I'm looking for any file or that has the attribute, has a variation ID that contains, for example, the number 32. So I can go and hit search. And Synergy is going to go and search and find that I've got 2 emails that have had the variation ID site 32, for example. So again, you may have a whole bunch of metadata you use in your business, and some of those might be attached to jobs and some of those might be attached to files. And there's a process you can do with 12D Synergy. You can tag incoming emails with certain attributes to make them easy to search on later on. Again, that's all I've got to show today. What I'll do now is I'll jump back to the PowerPoint, and we might finish off and ask for some questions.
Sure. Yes, we've had a few questions through. So I'll read out a couple of those to you now. Jody in Queensland has asked, can you search for a job that hasn't been selected as a favourite in the drag and drop zone box?
Sorry, can you ask that one again?
Can you search for a job that hasn't been selected as a favourite in that drag and drop bit?
Yeah. So basically, when you go to the the More button I was selecting, it'll then give you the choice of all the jobs that are contained in the system. You can go and pick that job and file that email away to that particular location and set it up with a favourite then as well.
Great, okay. And Michael in New South Wales has asked, where is the data held? Is it on the server?
Yeah, so 12D Synergy, it centralizes the data into one location, which might be a server. Could be that server could be hosted in the office or hosted in the cloud. It's completely up to you where the server sits. But essentially, we store it on the server. It sits on the server with an SQL database, and you can it's all get filed away into one location, which then you can back up that one location.
Thanks. Joe in Brisbane asks, does 12D Synergy work with Gmail?
No, we don't have a native plugin for Gmail. The plugin that we provide is for Outlook only, but you can, of course, configure Outlook to be the desktop email client of your emails from Gmail. So that's, I guess, a bit of a workaround there.
Sure, okay. Phil has asked, can you drag and drop from Synergy to an email in Outlook instead of issuing it?
I haven't tried that. I might write that one down and I'll give it a go and get back to you. So
sure, I'll send you a list of questions at the end, so that's fine. I'll email you that. And we'll just take one more live for now. Sam from Sydney would like to know, what if an email gets uploaded maybe accidentally and needs to be deleted?
Okay, well, Synergy, I guess, doesn't necessarily discriminate between an email or a Word document or a DWG. Synergy is set up in a sense where you can't necessarily delete anything because there's an audit trail behind what happens. So what normally happens if you delete something, all that really happens is it gets hidden from view. But you can go, if you're an administrator in the system, through the administration console and purge files you definitely don't need anymore. But that kind of responsibility is usually left to an administrator of the system.
Great. Well, thanks, Lincoln, and thanks to the audience for your great questions. Sorry to anyone we didn't answer live, but we'll get back to you individually by email. The recording of this webinar will be available in coming days through our website and our YouTube channels. Our next Industry Solutions webinar will be on the 25th of October. It's a bit of a mouthful, the title, but it's going to be a good one. It's called Transform Your Life. It's time to embrace the flexible working environment. We've also got some great training topics coming up, including the first ever 12D Synergy training webinar on the 5th of October. So do keep an eye on our emails and social media channels. If you need to contact us in the meantime, we'll pop some details on the screen shortly. That concludes our presentation for today. Thank you everyone for attending, and we hope to see you at future webinars.